Investing feels hard for a reason that has almost nothing to do with money. It feels hard because it's one of the only areas in life where the right behavior looks like doing less, not more. You don't get constant feedback you can trust. You don't get a clear score every day, and the parts that matter most are slow. So a beginner sits down, ready to be responsible, and immediately gets hit with noise. Headlines, red and green numbers, confident opinions, arguments, charts that look like heart monitors. And in the middle of all that, someone says the fundamentals are simple. That can feel almost insulting, because if it's simple, why does it feel so confusing? Why does it feel like you're always one decision away from getting it wrong? Here's the promise of this video. In the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly why investing feels complicated to beginners, even though the core ideas are simple. And once you see it clearly, the mental pressure drops. Not because you've learned a trick, but because the situation finally makes sense. In a moment, I'll explain the one perception shift that makes everything feel calmer. But before that, let's put a name on the real problem. Quick framing before we start. This is not financial advice. This is calm education. The goal here is to make investing feel understandable, not intimidating. No predictions, no stock picking, no get-rich language. Just a clear explanation of what's happening in your head when you try to invest and how to make the process feel lighter. Because the truth is, beginners usually don't struggle with the math. They struggle with the experience. They struggle with the emotional friction of not knowing what matters. They struggle with the feeling that everyone else knows something they don't. They struggle with the fact that doing the sensible thing often feels boring, and boredom can feel like danger. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not behind, you're normal. And by the end of this video, you'll have a simple mental model you can carry with you, so the next time investing feels stressful, you can quickly reground yourself. Think of this as a user manual for your attention, not a lecture about finance. Before we get into the big ideas, I want to make one thing clear. Simplicity in investing can feel wrong at first. Not because it is wrong, but because your brain expects effort to look complicated. In a moment, we'll break that apart. Here's the roadmap clearly in 3 parts. Part 1 is the core reason investing feels hard. We'll talk about psychology and how your brain misreads investing the same way it misreads other uncertain situations. I'll explain the difference between information and useful information, and why more information often makes beginners feel worse, not better. Part 2 is where we make this real with scenarios, not hypotheticals like imagine you become a millionaire, just realistic beginner moments. The first time you see your account down, the first time your friend says they made money on something, the first time you want to change your plan because it feels too simple. We'll also use one clear mental model that ties everything together, and we'll do at least one time-based illustration so you can see how this plays out over years, not days. Part 3 is the setup, but it's also the relief. You'll learn how to choose a slower check-in rhythm so you're not feeding your brain constant stress signals. You'll learn what to pay attention to instead, so you still feel engaged without being pulled into daily noise. And you'll learn a simple way to handle the moments when you feel tempted to change your plan, so you can pause, breathe, and decide from a calm place. And along the way, I'll give you a few anchor phrases you can use when your mind starts overthinking. In a moment, I'll show you the mental model that makes investing feel less like a test and more like a routine. But first, we need to understand why your brain fights you in the first place. Investing feels hard because it combines 3 things humans are naturally bad at. The first is delayed reward, the second is uncertainty, and the third is social comparison. If you want to make investing feel easier, you don't start by learning more details. You start by understanding these 3 forces, because they explain almost every beginner mistake. Let's start with delayed reward. In most parts of life, you do something and you see results quickly. You study, you take a test. You work, you get paid. You clean, the room looks better. You exercise, you feel tired right away. The feedback is immediate. Investing isn't like that. With investing, you do the right thing today, and the result might not look like a result for a long time. Sometimes it can look like you did the wrong thing. You contribute, and then the value goes down. You stay consistent, and nothing seems to happen. You do a month of good behavior, and the market doesn't give you a gold star. So your brain asks very innocently, is this working? That question is not the problem. The problem is what you use to answer it. Beginners often answer that question by looking at short-term price movement. But short-term movement is not a reliable report card. It's closer to weather. That's a key mental shift. Price movement is weather, not climate. Weather changes constantly. It can be sunny, then cloudy, then windy, then sunny again. If you judge the entire season by today's weather, you'll feel unstable all the time. Climate is the long-run pattern. It's the thing you can actually plan around. When you invest for the long term, you're trying to participate in long-run growth over time. But your brain keeps pulling you back to the weather because it's vivid and immediate. That's delayed reward plus uncertainty in one package. Now let's talk about uncertainty. Humans crave clear cause and effect. We like to know, if I do X, I get Y. Investing refuses to cooperate with that. You can do the right thing and see a short-term decline. You can do the wrong thing and get lucky in the short term. That makes beginners feel like investing is a puzzle where the rules keep changing. So they overthink. They search for a hidden lever. They assume there must be a more complex explanation. And this is where simplicity feels wrong. Because when something matters, we expect it to be difficult. We expect it to feel like skill. We expect it to feel like constant decision-making. If the answer is contribute consistently, stay diversified, and be patient, it can feel too basic to be real. It can feel like you're missing the real strategy. So beginners add complexity, not because they need it, but because complexity feels like control. Psychologists sometimes call this the illusion of control. It's the feeling that if you can just monitor enough, tweak enough, and stay alert enough, you can remove uncertainty. The problem is that investing doesn't offer that kind of certainty. The future isn't fully knowable, and short-term prices are not a clean report of long-term reality. There's another term that matters here: loss aversion. In plain English, a loss tends to feel more painful than a gain feels good, even when the numbers are small. That's why a normal dip can feel like a warning siren. Your mind isn't thinking, this is a long journey. It's thinking, something is going wrong. Fix it. Add in one more simple idea: availability. Whatever you see most often feels most important. If you look at prices daily movement starts to feel like the main story of your investment. It becomes vivid and urgent, even though it's often just short-term noise. So at the exact moment you need calm, your brain is being trained to feel urgency. Now, before we go further, I want to make a distinction that matters. Simplicity is not the same as passivity. Simplicity can be a system. A system is active. It's just not emotional. It's not reactive. It's designed to work without you having to constantly intervene. In a moment, I'll show you how to think of investing as a system you run, not a problem you solve. Before that, let's add the third force: social comparison. Social comparison is the silent pressure that makes investing feel like a competition. You're not just trying to build your future. You're trying not to feel stupid. That sounds harsh, but it's real. You see people online talking confidently. You hear a coworker mention a big win. You see a post that makes it seem like everyone is making money effortlessly. And your brain does what brains do. It compares. It asks, am I doing enough? It asks, am I too slow? It asks, am I missing out? Now you're not investing. You're managing your identity. And when identity is involved, the emotional stakes rise. You stop thinking in decades. You start thinking in weeks. This is why beginners often bounce between extremes. One week they feel motivated and confident, they contribute, they read, they feel responsible. Then a week later, they feel overwhelmed. They see conflicting information, they feel behind, they pause, they start again, they stop again. Not because they lack discipline, because the experience is psychologically messy. So let's simplify what's happening. Investing feels hard because the environment is designed to trigger you. It gives you constant updates, but most updates aren't useful. It gives you endless opinions, but opinions aren't plans. It gives you short-term movement, but your goal is long-term. That mismatch creates friction. Here's another mental model that helps. Think of investing like planting a garden, not playing a video game. A video game gives instant feedback. points, levels, sounds, rewards. You know immediately if you're winning. A garden doesn't do that. You plant seeds, you water, you protect it from obvious problems. And for a while, it looks like nothing is happening. But underneath the soil, things are happening. The roots are forming, the system is building. If you dig up the seed every day to check if it's growing, you'll destroy it. That's what constant monitoring and reacting can do in investing. It's not that checking is evil, it's that checking too often tempts you to interfere with what should be left alone. And here's the final piece of the core concept. Beginners often confuse activity with progress. They think progress looks like doing things, researching, adjusting, optimizing, reacting, tweaking. In investing, progress often looks like repeating a boring behavior reliably. Contribute, wait, review occasionally, stay consistent. That kind of progress doesn't feel like progress to a mind that wants stimulation. So the mind creates tasks, it creates drama, it creates reasons to change. In a moment, I'll show you realistic scenarios where this plays out, so you can recognize it in your own life without judgment. But first, one calm truth. If investing feels hard right now, it's not because you're not capable. It's because you're trying to do a long-term activity with a short-term brain. The solution isn't to become a different person. The solution is to structure your process so your short-term brain stops hijacking your long-term plan. One practical way to picture this is to imagine you have two versions of yourself. The today you wants comfort, certainty, and quick proof. The future you wants stability, patience, and accumulation over time. Investing feels hard when today you is making decisions for future you. The aim of a simple system is to let future you write the rules while today you simply follows them. Now let's make that real. Let's walk through a few realistic beginner scenarios. Scenario 1. You start investing and the value goes down. This is the first emotional test. You contribute. You feel proud. You did the responsible thing. Then you check and the number is lower. Your brain immediately tells a story. I bought at the wrong time. I knew this would happen. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Notice what's happening. Your brain is treating investing like shopping. If you buy a phone and the price drops the next day, you feel like you overpaid. But investing is not shopping. You're not buying a finished product. You're building ownership over time. So the correct response to it went down is not panic. It's context. A short-term drop is part of the weather. It doesn't automatically mean your plan is broken. Now, if you don't have that mental model, you react. Maybe you pause contributions until it feels safer. Maybe you switch approaches. Maybe you get stuck in analysis and stop. This is where investing feels hard. Not because the fundamentals are complicated, because your brain is interpreting normal volatility as a personal mistake. Scenario 2. Your friend casually mentions a big win. They say something like, I put money into this thing and it went up. They might not even be bragging. They might just be talking. But your brain hears a different message. I'm behind. I'm doing it wrong. My approach is too slow. This is social comparison, and it creates a painful tension. Your simple plan feels boring. Their story feels exciting, so you start looking for excitement. You start thinking your plan is missing something. In a moment, I'll show you how to protect your plan from this exact feeling. Before that, Scenario 3. Scenario 3. You try to learn, and the learning makes it worse. A beginner tries to be responsible, so they research, they watch videos, they read posts, they look up terms, and they quickly discover a problem. For every confident opinion, there is an opposite confident opinion. For every this is the way, there is a never do that. So instead of clarity, they get cognitive overload. Cognitive overload is when your mind has too many inputs to organize. You can't tell what matters. You can't tell what's noise, so you freeze. And freezing feels like failure. So you either stop or you swing to the other extreme and make a dramatic change just to feel in control again. This is why investing feels hard. The information environment is not beginner-friendly. It's optimized for engagement, not understanding. Now, let's insert the mental model that ties these scenarios together. Here it is. Investing has two clocks. There is the market clock, and there is your life clock. The market clock ticks every second. Prices move constantly. News arrives constantly. Opinions arrive constantly. Your life clock moves slower. Your income arrives on a schedule. Your savings happen on a schedule. Your goals are measured in years. Beginners suffer when they live by the market clock while trying to build a life by the life clock. They check too often. They react too often. They let the market clock dictate their mood. The calm approach is to reverse that. You live by the life clock. You let the market clock do what it does in the background. In a moment, I'll show you how to set that up. Before that, let's do a time-based illustration so you can see why this matters over years. Imagine two beginners, Alex and Sam. They both start with the same intention: contribute consistently and hold for the long term. Alex lives by the market clock. Sam lives by the life clock. Year 1. Alex checks often, not because Alex is greedy, because Alex cares. Alex wants to stay informed. In year 1, the market has normal ups and downs. Alex feels like a genius on up weeks. Alex feels anxious on down weeks. Alex pauses contributions during a scary month, then restarts, then changes the plan slightly because it isn't working. Sam contributes on schedule. Sam checks less often. Sam still feels emotions, but emotions don't have a daily trigger. Sam sees the year as a whole, not as a constant series of emergencies. Year 3. Alex has learned a lot of terms. Alex can explain many things, but Alex's behavior is inconsistent. Alex has a pattern of reacting. Pause, restart, tweak, worry. Sam has fewer opinions. Sam's setup is boring, but Sam's behavior is consistent. Sam has been building ownership the whole time. Year 10. Alex looks back and remembers stress. Alex remembers getting in and out. Alex remembers trying to figure it out. Alex has had periods of progress, but also long pauses driven by fear or confusion. Sam looks back and remembers routine. Sam remembers contributing. Sam remembers not needing to think about it every day. Sam built the habit. The point of this illustration is not that Sam is morally better. It's that the system Sam used matched the time horizon. If your goal is long-term, your attention must be long-term. Now let's do another scenario. This one is about why simplicity feels wrong. A beginner hears, "Keep it simple." They think, that sounds like something people say when they don't really know. Because in most skills, simplicity is the result of mastery. A beginner expects complexity. They expect lots of steps. They expect a feeling of doing work. So the beginner tries to create complexity to feel safe. They want the perfect plan, the perfect moment, the perfect allocation, the perfect explanation. But perfect is a moving target, and chasing perfect delays action. This creates the emotional loop of overthinking. Overthinking is when your mind believes more thinking will create certainty. But in investing, certainty is limited. The future is uncertain. Short-term movement is unpredictable. And that's not a personal failure. That's the nature of the environment. So the goal is not to eliminate uncertainty. The goal is to build a plan that doesn't require certainty. That's the real mental model. That's the real mental model. A good investing plan is a plan that wins every day. It's a plan that you can follow through normal uncertainty. Now, one more scenario, because it's extremely common. The beginner sees a headline: markets fall, investors worried, economic fears. Even if the headline is vague, the emotional effect is real. The beginner thinks, should I stop? Should I wait? Should I pull out? This is perception versus reality. The perception is, something is happening, so I should do something. The reality is, headlines are designed to feel urgent. They compress complex information into emotional words. They don't come with a personal instruction manual for your life. So the calm approach is to treat headlines like background noise unless your life has changed. If your income is stable, your emergency buffer is okay, and your time horizon is long, the plan usually doesn't need a dramatic change because of a dramatic headline. In a moment, I'll show you a simple rule that helps you decide when to act and when to ignore. Before that, one more mental model. Think of investing like taking the stairs. Taking the stairs doesn't feel dramatic. No fireworks, no instant transformation. But it works because it is repeatable. Beginners often want investing to feel like taking an elevator. Press a button, arrive. When investing doesn't feel like an elevator, they assume something is wrong. So they hunt for a better elevator. But long-term wealth building is usually stairs. Slow, steady, unglamorous steps. And the reason it works is not mystery, it's accumulation. Now let's translate all of this into a calm setup you can actually live with. The goal of a calm setup is simple. You want to remove the need to constantly figure it out. You want to reduce emotional triggers. You want to make good behavior the default. This is where people think they need complicated rules. They don't. You need 3 decisions, and then you need to stop revisiting them every day. Decision 1, choose your time horizon in words, not numbers, not spreadsheets, just words like, this is for the long term. This is for years, not months. Why does this matter? Because your brain needs a label. Without a label, it treats every short-term move as relevant. When you label your time horizon clearly, you give your mind a boundary. You're telling it, daily weather is not the point. In a moment, I'll show you how to use this label during emotional moments. Before that, Decision 2. Decision 2, choose a contribution rhythm that matches your life clock. Weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. The best rhythm is the one you can keep during boring months and stressful months. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to feel motivated. You need it to be automatic in your life. And here's the key. Once that rhythm is chosen, you treat it like a bill, not like a daily decision. Decision 3. Choose a review rhythm that protects you from noise. This is where most beginners change everything. They think reviewing more often is more responsible. But if reviewing makes you emotional, it's not a review, it's a trigger. A calm review rhythm for a beginner is usually monthly or quarterly. That gives you enough connection to stay engaged without pulling you into the market clock every day. Now let's build the actual behavior structure. You separate action days from observation days. On action days, you contribute. You confirm it happened, and you close it. No extra checking. On observation days, you review calmly. You look at your overall progress, not the daily movement. You ask, am I still following my plan? You ask, has my life changed in a way that should change my plan? You ask, is my emergency cash buffer still okay so I don't feel forced to sell during stress? Notice what's missing. There's no question like, should I change everything because of this week? Because the job of a plan is to survive weeks. Now, here's a very practical tool you can use without any special features. Write a 1-paragraph investing agreement with yourself. Just a short statement you can read in 30 seconds. It can sound like this in your own words. I'm investing for the long term. Short-term ups and downs are normal. I contribute on my schedule. I review on my schedule. If I feel anxious, I wait until the next review day before making changes. This is powerful because it moves decisions away from emotion. And this is where one of the biggest beginner problems gets solved. Reassurance seeking. A lot of daily checking is reassurance seeking. It's not information seeking, it's the urge to feel okay. So we replace reassurance with process. When you feel the urge to check, you don't fight it with willpower. You redirect it. You do a plan check. You ask 3 calm questions. Did I contribute on schedule? Is my next review day set? Has my life changed? If the answers are yes, yes, no, then you're done. That is the calm definition of being on track. In a moment, I'll show you what to do when one of those answers is no. Before that, let's talk about overthinking. Overthinking thrives when your plan is vague. So you make the plan simple and specific. You define what you will not do. You will not make changes based on one scary day. You will not chase excitement because someone else is excited. You will not treat headlines like instructions, and you define what you will do. You will contribute. You will review on schedule. You will adjust only when your life changes, not when your emotions spike. Now, what if one of your plan check answers is no? If you didn't contribute on schedule, that's not a reason to panic. It's just a signal to simplify. Make the contributions smaller if needed. Make it easier. The goal is the habit. If your next review day isn't set, set it. Put it somewhere you'll see. A calendar, a note, a reminder you control. If your life changed, then yes, you review. Maybe you need a higher emergency buffer. Maybe you need to slow contributions temporarily. That's not failure. That's adapting your plan to reality. The calm principle here is that the plan serves your life. Your life does not serve the market. Now let's address the moment when simplicity feels wrong. This is where you use a mindset reframe. You tell yourself, simple is not naive. Simple is durable. Complex plans break under stress. Simple plans survive. And survival is the point. Because the biggest advantage you have as a beginner is time. Time only helps you if you stay consistent. In a moment, I'll tie this into a final summary you can remember easily. Before that, one last practical step. Choose one information boundary. For example, you decide, I will not consume daily market commentary, or I will not check outside my review schedule. Again, this is not denial. It's protecting attention, because attention is a resource. If your attention is constantly pulled into the market clock, your life clock suffers. Now let's bring it all together. Investing feels hard because the experience is emotionally confusing. You're trying to do something long-term in an environment that screams short-term. You're dealing with delayed reward, uncertainty, and social comparison. And your brain, doing its best to protect you, keeps asking for certainty and immediate feedback. That's why simplicity feels wrong at first. It doesn't satisfy the part of you that thinks effort must look complex. But the fundamentals are simple, in the same way stairs are simple. They aren't flashy, they're repeatable. So the goal is not to become a market expert overnight. The goal is to build a calm system that your future self will thank you for. Live by the life clock. Contribute on schedule. Review on schedule. Treat daily noise like weather, not climate. And when your mind wants to overthink, give it something better to do. A plan check. If you ever feel that familiar pressure to do something right now, treat it as a signal to slow down. Ask yourself what clock you're living on in that moment. If it's the market clock, you can step back to the life clock. That's not avoidance, that's alignment. Over time, this is what makes investing feel easier. Not that the world becomes calmer, but that your behavior becomes steadier. You stop needing a perfect feeling to take a sensible step. You stop needing constant comfort. You start building confidence that comes from repetition, not from perfect timing. And that confidence is quiet. It feels steady, not dramatic. That's why the goal of this channel isn't to make investing exciting. It's to make it clear enough that you can be consistent and calm enough that you can stick with it. If you remember one line from this video, let it be this: a good investing plan is not a plan that feels exciting. It's a plan you can keep when you feel uncertain. In the next video, we'll build on this and talk about how to design a simple investing plan that matches real life so you can stop feeling like you need to figure it out every week and start feeling steady instead.